Yeah, let me get my slides out. Here we go. I think that's the one, right? I need to got to get it at the beginning of the slide. So we got it right. You got the slides there.
Yes.
Okay, the three wisdoms cannot arise, and let me go to the initial verse. The kind father of the four kinds of beings, I'll come to now. Okay, the four kinds of beings you already know, but I'll still run through it quickly later. He cannot bear for living beings to suffer from disasters. So this is about compassion, which I've run through. The imbalance of four elements, as you all know. The only solution is purify our minds and turn to goodness. So this is where the crux of the teaching today about purifying our minds towards wisdom. So all methods on object in this verse for the pursuit of fame and profit are potential traps for us. So the potential traps, and this is about the worldly winds, right? So potential traps. So therefore, we as householders, we need to understand this. And I want to emphasize the word potential because there's nothing wrong for you to, obviously because we're householders, to pursue your livelihood. So you need to have the right livelihood. But if you are very successful, but do not indulge on those successes, and that's what it is. So what you're going to do with those successes? If we pursue material gains for the sake of fame, profit, and status, oppose each other quite openly or in secret, we are playing with fire. And this is what exactly, and this is very relevant, this particular line, and I selected this line because it's us as householders, because we are not monastics. So we therefore we have all these things facing us every day. So therefore, yes, you can pursue, but you got to be very mindful of how you do it. And so obviously because of all these things and the condition we're facing right now, and the four elements are imbalanced, and we can see all these things which is happening in the world right now. So we are in a state of emergency. There's no time to wait. And the fire and the many disasters and are closing on us all the time. And obviously, and this imagine is 2,500 years ago, and the Buddha already saw that coming through in the rise and the fall of the cow paths. So therefore, the only solution is to bring purity in the people's mind, and this one Master is trying to tell us today. And not only that, it's for incumbent upon us that we are able to share that with others. So the four kinds of beings, and obviously that applies to all, these four kinds of beings applied to us, to all in the samsaric realm. We all understand very commonly womb-born and egg-born. Moisture-born, these are very much lower beings. Transformation born can be a higher being, a lower being. Okay, these are the ones that they don't have the lower beings, for example, the hell and the angry ghosts or the petas, and then the higher realms, the heavenly beings and asuras that can transform. Okay, so that's one they're referring to on both ends of the six realms. So kindness, obviously we treat them all, and this is, I picked this thing up again, treats them all as if they were his child. And this is what, especially this you'll probably find this true in the Mahayana practice and the Vajrayana practice, that we regard one as if it's our only child. And this is how the world of great love, from small love to great love. So we'll treat everyone as a child, just like Brother Robert, right, is treating us all as his children, for example. So such is the compassion that we should cultivate when we feel others' pain as our own, and that's what we should be cultivating, so that we have that consciousness of feeling for other people's suffering, so that they move our hearts. So the great compassion is actually a universal compassion, and we feel for every suffering beings without exception. And this is obviously the great compassion that we should be feeling for, and for all six realms of existence. So in purification, we need to purify our hearts. And so by teaching the Dharma, the Buddha hopes that he can turn the evil in our hearts into goodness. So remember the three lines that I shared with you all in the past. Stop doing evil, do only good, and thirdly, purify the mind. And this is what the essence of the Buddha's teaching is. So the Buddha turned the Dharma view to help us turn the ignorance, our ignorance, to the wisdom. and turn evil thoughts into good thoughts. So turn ignorance to the wisdom is purifying our mind, stop doing evil and generate good thoughts, so that we do only good, and with result of which we purify our hearts and our minds. So in this sutra words and master explanation, moreover, they did not know what fire was. They didn't know what the house was or what the danger was. They thus ran out as they played and merely looked at the father. So if you look at, when you read this thing, it isn't very applicable to a number of us as Buddhists, that we become nominally a Buddhist. So and that's what I had been before, much that because I know little about the Dharma at that time. So indeed, people are very foolish. They do not recognize the fire is and treat it as a beautiful scenery, as if it's just a fireplace and warming themselves up. So this is what the Master said. They have lost the discerning wisdom, and because they did not even know they are in the house, they don't know what the house was, and not understanding what the house was means they did not know how they have lost the Dhammakaya. So the Dhammakaya is the Dhamma body in us. So Dhamma body, you can say the Dhamma body, yes, we can refer to our true nature as such. So an analogy for cultivating wisdom and then allowing it to leak out, thus being unable to give rise to wisdom. So in this life, as we're taking on this life, we come with a certain set of karma. We have all the incrustation in our heart and obscuration in our mind. So therefore, if logically, if we look at that, we should take on this life to remove as much as possible the layers. But if one doesn't even understand that, instead of removing it, one adding in more and more layers, and this is exactly what it is. So we all have the Dhammakaya wisdom in us, but it's just that it's all buried or inside. We can't even find it. We don't know where it is right now. So therefore, what we have to do when we practice the Dhamma is that how can you then penetrate through these various layers to realize that true sustenance to our pure nature in us. And this is about growing in our consciousness, and growing in consciousness and to realize that that's why you need to contemplate and penetrate through all this obscuration of our mind. So in cultivating wisdom, Master said, to do so, we need to engage in a spiritual practice. So we do not know where the true sustenance is buried, right? This which I just said earlier. It's all buried all deeply buried in incrustation and obscuration. So imagine now, you need to mine diamond, and it's buried over millions of years, right, on the ground. And so they go and mine it, and this is what it is. So we need to mine the gem of the true sustenance in us through cultivation. Cultivation is removing all this obscuration. Therefore, as a result of which is changing our conduct and our mindset and purifying our mind. So we cultivate, but we keep losing it, and as a result, because we have all these wisdom leaks in all of us. As I shared beyond in past, and this that my basket has a lot of holes. So what I now have to do is to make sure we are deposit more than I lose the wisdom. Right. At the same time, we try to seal those wisdom leaks, and not only wisdom leaks, also deviation in the virtues as well. So like Sister Riani said, at the moment in time, and when this moment of anger, we lose our temper. But if you look at it and you do it, one cannot transform over time. I mean, overnight. It takes time and gradual to do so, and it's about practice, applying it in a practice, and over period of time you will get through it. And the children are there to challenge you. They are your teachers. Without those conditions, how can you train yourself? Without jumping through all the hurdles in life, how can a hurdler be competing in the world stage? So we need to recognize where our leaks are, and then so that we can address them. So in other words, is that you can read about that in the Princess of Time. See, we have blunt and dull roots. This telling everyone that we ordinary people have constantly covered by ignorance, and this ignorance again, all the layers of innumerable lifetimes in the past that were covered ourselves. So our 5 roots and 5 powers are weak and have become dull. So obviously the 5 roots, you know what it is, our 5 senses, right? And Master have already mentioned that in the past. And all these 5 senses, when you connect with the conditions in the outside world, that leads to about grasping and greed. Why Master especially mentioned greed? And because we are in the desire realm. And the human beings are in the desire realm. So when we desire something, when we see what other people are having, we see things we are being produced outside, we want that. And this is what the Master is trying to say. And so because of this, we lose our mind. So when we lose our mind, that's where the wisdom comes from. So in all these things, the 3 wisdoms cannot arise. And what are the 3 wisdom? Wisdom from listening. Okay? So when we listen, like I say, you must listen with heartfelt. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. Listen with heartfelt and touches your heart. Okay, so then must listen with your heart. Then sit down and contemplate. Now then you apply the wisdom into your practice. So contemplation gives rise to realization. If you remember some time ago, I shared with you all the journey of trying to practice in wisdom, the 4 stages: knowing, understanding, realizing, and practicing, the 4 stages, right? So knowing and understanding is from listening, and that is purely from your mental capacity, and you're able to understand that. Contemplation is about realization. So knowing, understand, realization, and then applying that realization in your practice. And this is what it is. I'll touch on the 5 powers in the next slide. So in this lessons learned, we awaken to awakening. From awakening to half awaken. From half awaken gradually to awakened being. And obviously awakened beings are enlightened beings, okay? So and this is what we have to do in this lifetime of practice, to be awakening, at least to become half awakened, and eventually to awaken being, and so that, and this is all about wisdom growth. So we must immediately form great aspiration, just like the Buddha did, and make great vows. So these great vows are the undertakings that we have, not to deviate. And this is the part that, much like we can develop the capabilities and the wisdom, we make sure in our practice, we do not lose that wisdom. So the Bodhisattvas on the path of accumulation must ceaselessly accumulate good deeds. We must accumulate them non-stop. And so we do good deeds, benefit others, and create karmic connections to the Bodhisattvas on the path of accumulation. I'm not sure how much you know about this path of accumulation, but very, very briefly, honestly, I'm not qualified to speak about the path of accumulation. Basically, in the Bodhisattva path, there are 5 paths, okay? Path of accumulation is the first path. Second path is a path of application, then a path of seeing, and then I think it's a path of wisdom, I think, and then eventually the path of no more learning. So this is what the 5 paths. So path of accumulation, the first one, and that's what we are, and we accumulate good deeds. But at the same time, this path of accumulation is also about the path of getting engaged in the true study on our own, to understand the Dhamma and what the Dhamma, which I shared with you, knowing, understanding, realizing, and practicing. That's when the path of accumulation. You see, these 5 powers, actually one of the 37 factors of enlightenment, and the 5 powers. I know shared with we all also the 5 efforts, right? The 4 efforts. The 4 efforts are 4 right exertions about generating wholesome and unwholesome thoughts. And this is also the 4 efforts are also ones that help you in your cultivation and not to lose wisdom and deviate in your virtues. And I've shared with them in the past. So the 5 powers about the faith, the effort that you put in, a mindfulness, your concentration, and your wisdom. And you look at it, all these things here, it's all about the mind. The faith is about confidence that you have, right? The efforts, and then there's also the 4 efforts behind that. The efforts that you put in is the will that you're going to put into your practice. And mindfulness is about external cultivation, right? And also don't forget your internal cultivation. So your concentration is both about the stillness and the focus of your mind, eventually the wisdom, and that's what the 5 powers are. So contemplation, like this one is, I was running through and trying to share something with you all relevant today. This one is a bit long, okay? But it was something that I wrote about more than 10 years ago. And sometimes when you roll back on your own notes, I don't know how this came to me, but this is what it is, okay? So vastness is the wisdom. Yes, each deal is filled with wisdom. I think I shared this line with you all before, and I didn't share with you the whole thing, that's all. So vastness is the wisdom. Why is so vast? Vast is inconceivable. It's bigger than the universe, right? So it's never ending, it's infinite. But yet each deal is filled with wisdom. Why each deal? A deal is such a small dot, because a deal can reflect anything. It can even reflect the moon. I can put a moon inside a deal, right? So therefore, never underestimate your own self, your own discerning mind, that you can actually attain the wisdom. And Buddha have shown that. So the flow of thoughts carries no end. And yonder is the destination of your mind. So the flow of thoughts carries no end. And we have endless flow of our worldly thoughts. So we need to yonder beyond. This is the destination of the mind. So we can grow beyond the mind consciousness. Be true to yourself, as you must be honest to yourself. Then you can seek the truth. But if you are bluffing yourself, saying that you're already a good person, there's no point cultivating any further. What you're doing and you're right, you'll never be able to seek the truth. So the joy of sharing is the happiness of many beyond the self of thoughts, and it's out beyond your own self. Be kind to others, and you soon find the path of sharing. And I'm reflecting on this when I picked this up. Oh, maybe that's why that's what I'm doing with you all right now. A living heart awaits you to move on beyond the yonder of wisdom. And this is why a loving heart, because the heart is a doorway to the mind. Okay, so the bigger your heart is, the bigger you'll be your more open is your mind. So be not fearful, for the compassion of the bodhisattvas will engulf your being. So just be selfless, and you will find. Okay, so on relationship, relating to that, what I just shared with you, patience is the virtue of love. Perseverance is the seat of nobility. Why nobility? Because nobility is about benevolence. Benevolence is about putting the interests of others ahead of yours. And you do that, you need a lot of perseverance to cultivate nobility. And selflessness is the root to wisdom. So relating to that, what is it that you will find from the last sentence earlier is wisdom. So with that note, thank you so much, brothers and sisters. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Brother Chin. Yes, the joyful of listening to you. Your sharing is always give us
intoxicating.
Yeah, I think 醉咗啦。Like Toddy lah. I think this
like
from Ipoh one. Ipoh, this already original one. This Toddy. Drink already. After whole day, you feel very groggy.
Hey, floating on air already lah.
Yes, come. Let's take a group photo while we are floating.
I have a question.
Yeah, you can ask, and then we can still take photos together.
Okay.
3-4 things together.
Brother Chin, just now
is on your video.
Brother Chin, on your video.
Yeah. Please, everyone, on your video.
Yes.
Okay. Just now Master says, see, Master always say to observe the nature and then apply the principles and observe the nature and their principles. And just now Master says, about the earth rotating on the axis. So she says not to keep rotating.
Not to take one?
Not to keep on rotating, meaning like you keep turning around. But but and when the part of the sun, earth is facing the sun, then that's where you receive the dharma, right? So then, but then Master say don't keep on rotating, but then suddenly a bit of I was a bit knocked so, but the earth is always rotating. It cannot stop rotating. So is she trying to tell us to be the sun?
Okay, my view is that it's trying to ask us to evolve with beyond the earth and the sun. Okay, you see you see we live to day and day in day out, and because we are in this life. Okay, so I may try to link it to your thoughts, to what I understand what my master should say.
Yeah.
So day in and day out, we live through our daily life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go through the earth, day and night, and we're floating around the sun. But we must understand that this one point in time, the earth won't stop rotating, but we will end. Understand? So we will end. So where are we going to go at the end of this life? Okay, if our mind consciousness is then stuck in this rotating cyclic existence, we will continue to remain and seek rebirth within this rotation.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
So therefore, remember the first point that I shared with you, right? Vastness is with the wisdom.
Yes.
So the vastness of the wisdom is the universe. It's not about the earth, neither is it about the sun.
Right.
Okay. So therefore, if you look at it beyond that, we won't get stuck in this rotating existence. I hope I answered your question.
Let me contemplate on that.
Right.
Yes.
But
Okay.
having said that, the sun is there, it gives light. Yet in this period of rotation in our life, is we can still gather wisdom. Okay.
Contemplate. Yes. Okay. Maybe some final words from Sister Tzu Chi. Sister Tzu Chi, are you?
Tai Loi.
Tai Loi.
Axis as our principles, Sister Kape